Hello, my name is Jordan. I'm going to be teaching you a basic Scruggs style arrangement for You Are My Sunshine in the key of C today. I'll play through it to give you an example of how it sounds and then talk about some technique tips that will help you play it more smoothly and some practice tips that will help you practice it more efficiently and effectively. And then I'll go over a few of the licks and variations that you can check out in TuneFox. So as I said, this one is in the key of C, and it's really good to start getting comfortable in the key of C with Scruggs style. If you haven't done that, so many players only get used to playing in the key of G, and it really limits a lot of the stuff you can play both with other people and just on the banjo period, right? There's a lot of cool ideas and vocabulary and cool licks to be found when playing out of the key of C and with those C shapes, right? We can use a capo to turn what we're learning now into the key of D or E as well, right? So it just gives us a little bit more range, so to speak, on the banjo. This one has some similar rhythm patterns to the basic Scruggs style, where we're using a few notes and a bit of a forward roll. We've also got some of those pinches as well in here. So there's a lot of similarities to the Scruggs style arrangement in G in this one. And stick around to listen to a little bit about some of the licks we have. There's some really cool chord melody licks that we can add in that just give us a nice, beautiful, full, and lush sound to this Scruggs style arrangement. All right, I'll play through it a bit more at speed. 1, 2, 3. All right, I'm going to play through this slowly. 1 E and 2 E and 3. As always, before you jump into practice, make sure to listen so we begin to memorize how this thing sounds, and to read the tablature, scan through, look for repeating patterns and repeating measures so we can practice effectively. For example, in this one, measure 4 and measure 6 are exactly the same. So let's make sure we practice measure 4 really, really well, and then when measure 6 comes up, it's not going to be a problem. We'll have it down. So this one is using a lot of little double stop pinches with the index and middle finger, pieces of a forward roll, and then kind of a little partial bit of a forward backward roll. So nothing too complex in the beginning. The only challenging part might be some of these little double stops if you're not used to playing those. But again, isolate. Just take some of the measures that have them, play them repeatedly till you get them down. Play it at a super slow speed. Don't even worry about timing at first. Once you are able to kind of move through these different little 2-note chord positions and start to connect them, then start trying to play it in time with the focus feature at a speed you can handle, and just work it till you get it. Work it till it's easy. As I talked about in some of the other Scruggs style and 2-finger style versions of You Are My Sunshine that also include these accents, don't worry about those at first, right? If it's something that just makes it harder, put it aside, right? That's just something extra. It's almost like a lick that you can add in to kind of embellish the sound of this basic arrangement. Make sure you can play it in time before we start playing with those accents. And once you start adding them in, you may need to just use the focus feature to start adding them in a piece at a time, like a measure at a time. So that way we can focus on adding in this new technique bit by bit instead of doing it with the whole thing and maybe getting overwhelmed, right? And again, we may need to dial back the tempo slider to play this at a slightly easier tempo when we start to incorporate those accents. And again, the accents, you can tell what those are in the tablature by the little greater than sign that's above the tablature. And if you're listening regularly, you will be able to hear that those notes are played a little bit louder when listening with the TuneFox player. Something else that you can do is check out our metronome exercise, the multi-level metronome exercise. That's in the song list, and it's in the learning path for mastering the basics exercises for beginners. Again, it's called the multi-level metronome exercise. All it does is teach us some basic subdivision with the alternating thumb roll, taking us through kind of some different speeds and applying a basic accent pattern. So that'll be really good to get you adjusted to adding these accents in a simple and controlled way. I'd like to talk through a few of the licks that we have available in TuneFox. For this song, there's a lot of Scruggs stuff, and there's some chord melody things that add in, instead of these 2-note double stop pinches that we've been doing, add in 3 notes. So it just fills out the sound a little bit, makes it a lot more pretty, really lush, kind of beautiful addition to this version of You Are My Sunshine. And while there's just some general Scruggs vocabulary, some of them also include the accents. So we get to see how we can add in those accents to like a roll pattern to give a totally new sound, right? So we had just been accenting those melody notes in the basic arrangement, but we're going to add them into a roll pattern to create a really cool sound. And I'd like to demonstrate that now. So if we check out the Scruggs number 2 lick in measure 2, I'll show you what that sounds like here. And basically we're just accenting the middle finger note of this backward roll, and then those last 2 pickup notes in the melody. So it just creates this really cool and interesting rhythmic feel. Here it is a bit more up to speed and in context. Right? I just kind of wanted to show you what it sounded like when playing it with the rest of the song, at least that little bit piece of it there. So again, if you're working on this lick, just get the basic lick down, make sure you can play that backward roll smoothly, and then start trying to add in those accents. You may want to add it in kind of without playing along with the player at first, right? Just so you start to get a feel of just how to pick that little bit harder with your middle finger, but then use that focus feature to practice this thing repeatedly and nail it down. All right, now I'd like to talk about one of the chord melody licks. So this one is in measure 4 over the spot where we were playing this. Right, so we're already kind of harmonizing that melody note using these two-note partial chords out of the F right there, and then kind of walking down a piece of the C scale with these little double stops. All we're going to do is add in a 3rd note on the G string and listen to how much fuller and richer the sound is. Right? And we're taking out a bit of that roll, right, to focus in on this nice, beautiful chord sound. Here's what it sounds like in context. Right, I love that. Just a really pretty sound, playing a really basic rhythm, but the star of that lick is just the movement of the chords with that chord melody. So the melody note itself is actually on the 1st string. Right, and we harmonize it at first in the basic arrangement with 1 note on the B string. And then we just added in that 3rd note. All All right, there is more licks to explore as well. Like I said, a lot of standard Scruggs vocabulary and some more variations using the chord melody at different parts in this song. Definitely check those out. All right, so we got a great melody-based version here of You Are My Sunshine in the key of C. We've elevated it just a little bit by adding in some of these double stops and adding in some accents both in the basic melody, and saw how we can take just a simple roll and really elevate that by adding in an accent pattern as well. Remember to practice this thing effectively, right? Using all your TuneFox tools to help you practice it in a way that's manageable, in a way that works for you. And remember to make listening a part of your practice. All right, dive into some more licks, and if you plan on playing with other people, definitely check out the vamping so you have a basic backup to go with this. And I would suggest you try to memorize that backup, and once you have it memorized, come back here, right? And then you'll play your lead, and after one time through your lead, you'll go to your vamping, and then after one time through your vamping, go to your lead. And if you do that, we're set up to practice jamming, right? And you'll be good to go whenever you try to play this tune with others. All right, that's all we have today for You Are My Sunshine Scruggs style in the key of C. Hope you all enjoyed it. Keep picking and stay tuned.